YouTube, it's your boy Sheila's Be Long. We back with another reaction video. I don't know if I should go ahead and click on The Liver King's downfall is getting worse or The Rock is everything wrong with Hollywood. I don't know, but I know I'm watching both of them. I'm reacting to both of them, not at the same time, but you know what I'm saying? But it's your boy Sheila's Be Long, man. Road to 5K subs. We already hit 1,000 subs already. Now we just need the 4,000 watch hours. No watch hours. You feel me? So I feel like y'all know more about The Rock more than the Liver King. You know what I'm saying? So what we gonna do? We gonna watch the Liver King. You know what I'm saying? Ah, let's watch The Rock first. Let's watch The Rock first. It's your boy Sheila's Be Loud, man, and we are out. Ooh. It's like I want to click the Lyric King, but I also want to click the Rock. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna listen to the Rock.
This isn't just any chat. It's
because y'all know the
chat.
Rock.
Sure, you can tag your team, ask questions, and even drop an emoji. But the real
When Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, turned up at the Venice Festival, you just couldn't ignore how the physique that defined him had changed. Now in his 50s, maybe he's finally hit the wall where maintaining a superhuman body was becoming dangerous. Especially since he recently announced publicly that he was suffering from heart problems that would see him take medication for the rest of his life. But this still made people think that for years, this was someone who sold themselves as the ultimate example of what hard work and dedication could achieve. He's the highest paid actor in Hollywood for a reason. He's the superhuman, indestructible, hard-working Jack guy. His social media was filled with 4 a.m. workout videos and inspirational messages about earning success through sweat and sacrifice, all just through natural hard work and determination. But if his body wasn't entirely natural and the recent changes suggested it might not have been, what does that then say about the authenticity he'd built his entire career on? When you look closer, it feels more like a visible sign of something deeper, darker, and longer term. For anyone who's been paying close attention over the past decades,
what in the hell? That nigga look. He need to put his head. He need to put his head into his physical prime body. And his physical prime head need to be on his big ass body. You know what I'm saying? So switch out the faces and heads. It'll probably look better. But that nigga look gay with that damn shirt and them little ass jeans and shit. Man.
Has been mounting evidence that Hollywood's most beloved star wasn't quite what he seemed. His absolute perfect image is starting to crack. Small inconsistencies, moments where the mask slipped, behavior that didn't match the humble, hardworking image he'd worked so hard to create. The thing that made him the richest actor in Hollywood. Which is why the story of Johnson's downfall isn't really about one scandal.
I want to call it a downfall, man. I hate when niggas be saying that
It's
shit.
about authenticity, crumbling under the weight of fame and the inevitable collapse of a man who forgot he was human and not just merchandise. How even the most successful in Hollywood are never truly free. We could first see this back on Instagram in 2016, when Dwayne Johnson was filming the final week of The Fate of the Furious when he decided to blow up his reputation with a single social media post. Fans expecting the usual wholesomeness, maybe some touching words about Paul Walker, perhaps a behind-the-scenes photo with the crew, instead found something else entirely. It was a call-out post, which was public and scathing of his unnamed colleagues. Johnson was going after his male co-stars, calling them unprofessional candy asses for the world to see. The target later emerged was Vin Diesel, the franchise's lead and producer. While fans didn't outright turn against him, it definitely raised some eyebrows.
Don't never turn on my nigga Vin Diesel, bruh. Don't never do that shit. Because don't never do that shit, man.
It might have just been a slip-up, a moment of misguided frustration. After all, Johnson was just as human as everyone else. He was allowed to make a mistake. However, it would soon prove to be the catalyst behind the exposure of his ego, damaging an image he started building in the early 2000s. You see, Johnson as The Rock transcended the bad guy image of many professional wrestlers, going on to become the most famous, most liked member of the sport, and then achieving legitimate movie stardom only to become the most famous actor in Hollywood. And he seemed to do all of this without ever losing his authenticity. Where other wrestler-turned-actors felt like novelty acts, he felt a little more genuine, kind of like an anti-celebrity celebrity. Funny and down-to-earth, self-depreciating Instagram posts, surprise visits to fans, and lots of charity work. When scandal after scandal destroyed other stars' reputations, which is practically a Hollywood ritual at this point, Johnson always remained pretty untouchable. A 6'5" teddy bear who happened to be the hardest working man in the industry. For over a decade, his persona worked flawlessly. Johnson wasn't just starring in blockbuster movies, he was reviving entire franchises and making hundreds of millions for doing so. The Fast and Furious series was running on fumes until he joined in Fast 5. The Jumanji reboot succeeded because audiences trusted him to respect their childhood memories while updating them for a new generation. He was always the safe choice. He'd never say anything bad in public. He was always a picture-perfect guy, with the cleanest views on anything, saying whatever he was supposed to say. He was someone that star producers could bet their careers on. But somewhere along the way, his humble act started feeling like exactly that, an act. It hit particularly hard with Johnson because it's something he tried to fight so hard against, which is what makes his story a pretty unique one among Hollywood's elite movie stars. You see, that Instagram post we mentioned about his Fast and Furious co-stars later turned out to be part of a wider issue with Johnson's conduct off camera, and his authenticity would become much harder for anyone to defend. In 2019, reports emerged about Johnson's new no-lose clause, a contractual guarantee that his characters would never appear weak on screen. Jason Statham and some other well-known action stars had similar protections, but you're contrasting someone who's always been typecast as a hard man with someone who championed humbleness and humility.
How long before I see results with military training? Day 3, your body will hurt. Day 7, your eyes will change. Day 20.
People did start noticing how Johnson would take not wanting to lose and literally anything to another level. Check out this viral clip where he gets awkward about losing a game of rock, paper, scissors.
We do rock, paper, scissors?
Yes.
Rock, paper, scissors. I won!
Well, no, yeah, see, we're supposed to be rock, paper, scissors, go.
Oh, what?
This is cheap. What kind of
No, sorry,
is
I
this?
think
When you look at Johnson's recent filmography through this lens, and it really makes
Hopefully he was just playing about the bullshit. He ain't have to damn, bruh.
sense. In Jungle Cruise, his character dies but is immediately resurrected. In Black Adam, death becomes a minor inconvenience. In other films, Johnson's character emerges triumphant while his co-stars fall around him. Hollywood embraced his characters. They knew they could sell it as a product. And you can see how he started to embrace this himself, using himself as a marketing tool when it benefited him or those close to him.
Yeah,
And it was a
I
bug
would
that
never
later proved this. In 2023, Johnson posted a video of himself trying In-N-Out for the first time. Having lived in California for most of his life, he acted like this was just suddenly the first time he'd have an In-N-Out burger, one of the most famous and iconic chains in the entire state. It was meant to be a wholesome moment, and it was probably done by a strategist team to do a subtle promotion with In-N-Out, but it wasn't hard to see this was just a botched marketing ploy, as this definitely wouldn't have been the first time he tried In-N-Out. Even just living in California aside, and the chances that he'd randomly have this burger, we can at least prove that he'd had it 3 times, as fans were able to pull up posts from 2017 where Johnson had claimed the exact same thing, even calling himself In-N-Out's newest and biggest fan. Johnson later amended the post saying, "Thanks to the fans who reminded me that I went to In-N-Out years ago and totally forgot about it." Reddit then exploded with one viral post titled "Dwayne The Rock Johnson lies about eating at In-N-Out for the first time." This guy was so fake during the podcast, and now this, I'm convinced that
Man, it ain't that damn serious.
everything he says is a bunch of BS. The top comment says a lot. Dude, he's basically a walking billboard. He's the type of entertainer that is selling a persona, not himself. There should be no surprise. Sure, it's a very small, very trivial lie, but also so unnecessary. And around that time, people were also questioning how someone in their 50s could maintain this sort of physique, especially after Joe Rogan openly speculated about steroid use.
Hopefully he's not taking steroids, but that is, I feel like it's possible, bro, because I've seen a 58-year-old have a good physique and he's still working out, still living.
This was
Not
around the
big as
time
his,
other
though.
celebrities like the Liver King were under the spotlight for lying about
Liver
roids.
King.
Everybody in the fitness
I'm
industry
definitely
knows
on
that
his
he's
ass.
probably taking something. But to this day, despite numerous accusations, Johnson is adamant that the only time he experimented with roids was when he was 18. Roids in Hollywood aren't actually unheard of, so if an actor were to admit using it, it wouldn't really be the end of the world. In fact, they might even be praised for coming clean. We all know people like Zac Efron and Christian Bale have taken stuff, but arguably Johnson would have looked much
Christian
better if he
Bale.
were just honest about it.
The Rock should come clean right now. He should make a video in response to the Liver King video. I need to talk to you because The Rock's been lying. There's not a fucking chance in hell he's clean.
No.
Not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is, at 50,
The last few years, he's definitely like turned it up a notch.
at 50.
Yeah.
That's natural, bro. That's
Yeah,
that's,
how could you think otherwise?
eats a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even get there with HRT.
The only real roadblock in that plan is the fact that Johnson, like the Liver King and others, built an entire aspect of his brand around fitness and nutrition. If he then came clean, he won't just be admitting that he's not natural, he will be admitting to willingly deceiving hundreds of millions of people about realistic fitness goals for years. Just eating chicken and rice and working out at 4 a.m. is enough to look like The Rock. Apparently, he's backed himself into such a tight corner that he'll never likely be able to tell the truth about this, and it will take someone or some expose to publicly out him. But before we continue, this video is sponsored by
we ain't doing no damn promo.
World.
Man,
You get an
I'm tired of y'all
interactive
doing
way to
promos,
match
but
to
I'm
remember
happy
what
that y'all
dates and
got
cut out
making that
public
money, making that
way
bread,
to fantasy
and one day I'll
novel
be doing the
to
same
life.
thing.
Palm, you'll get 50
Hopefully, y'all won't
nations
skip
after
my shit.
wildfires
I gotta
wreaked
do
havoc
this.
in Hawaii in 2023. They called it the People's Fund of Maui, but it didn't hit the notes they wanted it to. It wasn't all Johnson's fault. It was largely just a case of bad timing. Against the backdrop of the pandemic and the cost of living crisis, there was a lot of financial strain on a lot of people. So when they heard two celebrities with hundreds of millions, or in Oprah's case, billions to their name, asking for donations and parting with a combined $10 million like it was nothing, many were ready to attack them, especially those in Hawaii who were already suffocating in the most expensive state in America without any real income. Many people demanded to know why they didn't request money from those who could actually spare it, like other celebrities. While Johnson later admitted he could have done this better, it became another thing chiseling away at his authentic image.
Launched the fund. There was some backlash that came with launching the fund, and I want to address and acknowledge that backlash right now. And here's what I have to say about that. I get it, and I completely understand, and I could have been better.
The distrust turned into animosity, and it was growing every time he made an appearance, appearances that each looked more scripted than the last. When Johnson did finally appear on the Joe Rogan Experience, it felt like flat, dull PR, designed to take the sting out of the mounting criticisms thrown his way. He'd also hinted at how his image management had been baked into him from his wrestling days, revealing the corporate conditioning behind his perpetual state of positivity.
And Vince and the company always told me, hey, you can't smile enough. I was like, what do you mean? You go out, you smile, I want to make sure everybody knows you're grateful. Gratitude of attitude. Every night they were chanting Rocky sucks.
Whoa.
And I had to smile through it. Ooh. The bosses were telling me, no, you got to smile. Now keep smiling, ignore it. Ignore it, just ignore it.
This is honestly kind of sad when you think about it. Johnson's describing years of being told to ignore his gut instincts and just keep smiling no matter what. Wrestling teaches you to play a character that he struggled to turn off. Meanwhile, his acting career was starting to look increasingly unhinged, eventually reaching a breaking point when he finally took up the mantle of Black Adam and effectively tried to take over DC from the inside. You see, DC had been in decline since 2018, with most movies after Aquaman not making nearly as much as they needed to. With Zack Snyder out after the tragic loss of his daughter, Warner Brothers didn't seem like they knew what they wanted out of the universe. Enter Dwayne Johnson. Johnson had been waiting to play the Captain Marvel antagonist since 2007, and while he was initially supposed to appear as the main antagonist to Zachary Levi Shazam in the 2019 movie, the director wanted room to tell both characters' stories, so he gave them separate origins. The interesting thing is, it came out a few months earlier that Johnson himself had actually lobbied for separate origin movies. As it turns out, he didn't just want to keep the characters separate for their origin stories, he didn't even want them to appear.
Y'all let me know what's y'all favorite Dwayne Johnson movie, man. I'm gonna tell you how it is. There's a bunch of top 5 movies that he did. But this one that I'm about to name is probably not in the top 5. Hopefully it isn't, y'all. But is Game Plan with him and Peyton List. That was my favorite movie, bro. Favorite fucking movie.
On screen altogether at all.
Y'all comment down below, even though y'all don't fucking, man, don't comment on my shit at all. But I know I'll be doing these random ass reaction videos, but still.
Throughout the promotions for Black Adam, rather than talking about the connection between his character and Shazam, Johnson just kept referring to Adam as a dark Superman. He even orchestrated Henry Cavill's return as Superman for a surprise cameo. It turns out, he didn't just want to keep the characters separate for their origin stories. He didn't even want them to appear on screen.
Shit.
all together at all. Throughout the promotions for Black Adam, rather than talking about the connection between his character and Shazam, Johnson just kept referring to Adam as a dark Superman. He even orchestrated Henry Cavill's return as Superman for a surprise cameo, a spot that, given the comic book lore, should have gone to Shazam to set up their inevitable confrontation. For a man who claimed that Black Adam was his passion project, he sure seemed determined to remove links to his comic history. A top-line Reddit comment said, "Not really surprising, he only seems to care about Black Adam versus Superman, not paying any mind to Black Adam's main enemy." Really, it became clear this wasn't about artistic vision. Johnson was trying to retake over the studio and restructure DC to center around his character. That plan then backfired because Black Adam didn't perform as well as it needed to, despite his claims to the contrary. There was tension behind closed doors too, with Johnson apparently wanting to promote his tequila brand at the premiere despite others feeling it was inappropriate as the film was rated a PG. When Black Adam did flop, the entire House of Cards collapsed. The DCU practically died from Johnson's desperate attempt to crown himself its king. And this is how Hollywood works when the cameras stop rolling. While we see slick marketing campaigns and friendly press tours, behind the scenes it's often just massive egos fighting for control of billion-dollar franchises. The irony is key. Johnson spent years selling himself as Hollywood's most humble superstar who loved teamwork, but when it all actually mattered, he chose his own personal ambition over everything else.
Get off his damn dick. He's a billionaire. Probably. Hopefully.
He burned bridges, undermined storylines, and put his own brand ahead of what was best for the franchise. And you might think that after the Black Adam humiliation, Johnson would retreat and rebuild. Instead, he decided to return to WWE, and immediately repeated every mistake that had smashed up his movie career. Now, the setup was perfect for a redemption story. Wrestling thrives on comebacks, and Johnson returning to his roots after that should have been an easy win. But instead of fitting into an existing storyline, he decided to hijack one. At the time, Cody Rhodes had been building toward a championship match against Roman Reigns for over a year. Rhodes had left WWE, proved himself elsewhere, and returned with massive fan support, and was finally getting his shot at the title his father never won. Fans were completely invested.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44.
And this finished the story narrative. Then Johnson showed up and basically said, "I want the main event spot instead." In a move that stunned even wrestling fans accustomed to his unique politics, Johnson strong-armed his way into the main event, forcing Rhodes to step aside. Fans were understandably not happy. They were particularly upset that Johnson was allowed to just show up and force himself into a story as he pleased. Now, not only is the video of the handover between Rhodes and Johnson the most disliked video on WWE's YouTube channel, but Johnson's Instagram following declined massively. For the first time in his career, Johnson was forced to publicly backtrack, returning the spotlight to Rhodes and Reigns.
I remember calling Nick and Ari and I said, I have this idea. I don't think we should truck through this because the thing that bothers me most is that there is a group of fans, a segment of fans who are upset. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the North Star is, but how about this as an idea? Why don't we go with this incredible storyline, continue to go with it between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. The idea of finishing his story is one that fans have invested in. We as a company have invested in that too. Rock and Roman can wait.
Fans actually appreciated this, and it does tell us something about Johnson, about how torn he is between himself as a man and himself as a character. And it's genuinely hard to tell where The Rock ends and Dwayne begins. You can see in the comments in this video, someone says he's out of character. Imagine trying to just be your normal self, only for people to view it as simply being out of character. Another comments he's never looked more Dwayne than he does right there. Truth be told, the damage is piling up big time. He'd shown that even in the world that created him, he couldn't resist putting his ego first. But if you thought his reputation couldn't sink much further, 2024 had one more devastating blow in store: Red One. What was supposed to be Johnson's triumphant return to family-friendly blockbusters instead became a masterclass in everything wrong with modern Hollywood. The Christmas action comedy with Johnson as Santa's head of security wasn't just a box office bomb, it was a production nightmare that exposed the toxic behavior lurking beneath Johnson's image. The numbers alone tell a damning story. Red One cost a staggering $250 million to produce, and yet managed to only gross around $185 million worldwide. To put that into perspective, it performed even worse than 2017's Baywatch, previously Johnson's most embarrassing commercial failure. But the real scandal wasn't the movie's quality, though critics savaged it with a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Instead, it was what happened behind the scenes during production. In April 2024, a report from The Wrap revealed the true cost of working with Dwayne Johnson. According to multiple industry insiders, Johnson's unprofessional behavior had single-handedly inflated Red One's budget by $50 million. Sources claim Johnson was arriving on average 7 to 8 hours late every single day. Sometimes he simply wouldn't even show up at all, forcing the entire production to shoot around him. Cast and crew members would sit idle for hours, watching costs skyrocket while the star's absence held their timelines hostage. But perhaps the most bizarre revelation was Johnson's bathroom habits. Multiple sources confirmed that rather than using public restrooms like everyone else, Johnson would actually urinate into water bottles and then hand them to production assistants to dispose of. Quote, Dwayne truly doesn't give a fuck, one insider told The Wrap.
Hold on, man. I hope you're not doing that, man. You lame as hell and you weird as hell for doing that. I hate when these niggas get all this damn money. You want to fuck your image up because your damn ego. Because you got a lot of money and you can do all that shit. Why in the hell would I'm a grown-ass man peeing a motherfucking bottle just to give it to another female or a guy to throw it in the trash? But who the fuck you think you is, bruh? Man, get me rich right now. I'm gonna help everybody that I can, bro. I do want to be actor one day. That shit would be cool. I ain't gonna lie. Be like a superhero, my body. On some Michael B. Jordan shit.
Effing disaster. For months, Johnson's team dismissed the reports as slanderous. His representatives claimed the allegations were both ridiculous and false. But in November 2024, during a GQ magazine interview ostensibly meant to rehabilitate his image, Johnson made a stunning admission. Quote, I pee in a bottle, he told the interviewer matter-of-factly. Yeah, that happens. This wasn't The Rock's first pee-related controversy. Back in 2017, he admitted to peeing in a bottle mid-workout.
And I just realized you just saw my big bottle of pee. That look, I go hardcore when I train. I don't have time to go to the bathroom. I find a bottle, I pee in it, and I keep training like a beast.
So fans knew he had a history there. Johnson also confirmed that yes, he was frequently late to set, though he claimed the reports were exaggerated. Yeah, that happens too, he said, but not that amount, by the way. That was a bananas amount. That's crazy, ridiculous. The interview was supposed to be damage control, but it really looked like he was incriminating himself. He now had the press after him on all angles, and other reports about misconduct inevitably started to flood in. For example, in 2018's Rampage, he was reportedly late an average of 4 to 5 hours daily, with one co-star keeping a detailed log of his arrivals. His work ethic was also criticized, which massively dented his hard-working persona, with one insider telling the press, it's his absolute refusal to work more than 4.
I ain't gonna lie, Ballers was a good Netflix joint. I fucked with it.
5 hours a day, and explaining that it's a control thing. Chris Evans, Johnson's Red One co-star, tried to provide cover, claiming that Johnson's lateness was built into the schedule, but that only served to confirm his unprofessionalism. Here's the thing about Hollywood, it has this weird way of making bad behavior
Oh my god, Doja Cat, man, what the fuck is you doing?
Seem normal. When you're powerful enough, your problems become everyone else's job to manage. The pee bottle incident brings that home in some weird way. When you're powerful enough that people literally handle your waste without question, like some royal groom of the store scenario, when productions worth hundreds of millions of dollars revolve around your schedule, how do you even maintain any connection to reality? When you're one of the most famous men alive, when everyone around you in LA sucks up to you, when everything about you, from your plastic surgery, steroid use, fake teeth, and fake personality is completely strategized to always seem more likable. Johnson's story is just like Will Smith's, who spent decades as Hollywood's golden boy before the now immortalized Oscar night slap, or Ellen DeGeneres, whose Be Kind brand imploded when stories emerged about her toxic workplace behavior. It's always like their persona's trying to cover for some deep insecurity. Or someone like Ryan Reynolds, who's built an entire career on seeming relatable and self-aware, and yet industry insiders whisper about controlling behavior and impossible demands hidden behind the charm. Fame just creates this weird bubble where normal rules don't apply, when masks are used to cover for deep insecurities and bad behavior, and eventually the bubble will burst in spectacular fashion. Today, Dwayne exists in a strange liminal space. He's still one of Hollywood's highest paid actors, but his cultural capital is evaporating. It's not that he became a true villain like some in Hollywood. He simply became exactly what he once opposed. A corporate suit masquerading as an authentic person. A rich, famous guy who has absolutely no freedom or autonomy. a puppet of Hollywood elites. I mean, you've got to ask, how many truly authentic people even exist in the upper echelons of Hollywood? If not even one of the world's most headstrong, humble stars could seem to resist the pull. So where does he go from here? Well, at age 52, he's reached a point where reinvention becomes more and more difficult. His upcoming projects, including a live-action Moana remake and The Smashing Machine, are potential paths forward, but they also carry enormous risk. The live-action version of Moana could either capitalize on the animated sequel's genuine success or further expose Johnson's declining appeal. It looks like there's already some controversies in the making, with plans to use AI to build a digital mirror of Johnson being scrapped after backlash and problems with the technology. But A24's Smashing Machine at least offers something different, a chance at genuine redemption, as critics of Venice Film Festival are calling his performance extraordinary, a revelation, and the most layered work of the actor's career, using so much heavy prosthetics and makeup that Johnson completely disappears into the role, and his own image is completely unrecognizable. And there's a true sense and irony in that. For Johnson to regain respect, it might require him to abandon everything that made him successful. It needs him to literally bury The Rock alive under makeup and take on a character which is neither The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, which might be why he no longer has the muscles and seems so much skinnier than he did before. But for now, the swirling criticism surrounding Johnson and his behavior off the camera remains as he enters what is likely to be a challenging twilight era of his career. The only question now is whether the man underneath the brand can find his way back to who he used to be, or if that person is lost forever beneath the crushing weight of his own mythology in Hollywood.
He just need to stop. Just retire, brother. Do your commercials. But the acting, just let that bitch go. You 52 years old. You don't need to prove anything. But I know it's fun, though. But you don't need to prove anything. What is this one? Idiot late night host exposed by the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Get the fuck out of here, man. We about to go ahead and listen to this. I said listen. Go ahead and watch this Liver King shit after that. I'm going to go ahead and work out, man. Go ahead and work. It's a Sunday for me. I know it's a Sunday morning for y'all, but y'all going to have to watch this in a few more hours. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But, that's the end of the video, man. About to go ahead and watch this Liver King video, man. So, road to 5K subs. We're ready to hit it. Oh, shit. Road to 5K subs. We're ready to hit 1,000 already. Now we just need those 4,000 watch hours, man. So it's your boy Sheila B Law, man. It's on to the Liver King video.